Well, we're going to begin work on this apron here. And what the problem is, of course, we're going to clean it up and paint it, powder coat it to match the rest of the lathe. But what the problem is that I found with it is I don't like all this play here. I don't know how well that's going to show up on the camera, but you should be able to see there's quite a bit of wear in there. The other two have got some wear. The other two control knobs have got a little bit of wear, but nothing that I'm overly concerned about. And I'm not going to be using those anyway. They're more because they're already in the apron, because this is for our power cross feed and we're not going to use that on a production lathe. And same way with a lead screw to cut threads or fine feed, I doubt that we're going to use that. What we've got is mainly wear in the bore here. So what my plan is I'm going to take this fancy little bushing, and this is a new bushing, but it's a piece that I set up for another product that I build, and I thought it'll work for this. So I'm going to go ahead and set the apron up in the mill, bore that out for a tight press fit on this. It's the best solution to inexpensively make this apron a good functional apron again. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and strip the apron out and get it ready, and we'll set her up in the mill. Well, it doesn't want to come off the dowel pin. It's interfering with the cross feed nut there. See if we can't get it off and out of the way. Okay, in the back we've got, for our scroll, we've got a detent ball there we don't want to lose. We've got a spring in here that we don't want to lose. It will ride against that detent ball. The scroll should just lift out just like that. That's the Zamac part. Here's a little tip that may help you. Removing the Gitz oilers out of this apron. Now there's three of them. The center one you can access from the back. These two, the holes are right here in the front portion. It's where those oil holes are. Hopefully you can see this a little bit. And you can't get in there to punch them out. Now I'm going to replace these anyway. But an easy way to get them out, take an Allen wrench, go into the hole from the back side with the short leg, and drop it down into the hole of that oiler. So you've got the short leg down in your oil hole from the back side. It's at the same angle like this as the oiler's driven back in at. Then if you take a flat screwdriver, flat bladed screwdriver, but it needs to be flat, a round one won't work because you can't get it. If you go in from the back side and catch it right on top of the leg of that Allen wrench, or where the bend is, you can wedge that down and pop that oiler out of there. I went ahead and machined most of this. This should be our last pass down to make this fit. What I did is I clamped it flat to the bed. I've already bored it to, well, let's see, our outer bushing size ends up being 85.5. So we should be, let's see where we're at with our measurements here. And I'm shooting for about 686.5 there. And here we've got about 680. Just about 680 on it. So that's going to be close enough. We don't have to be exact. If I have to, I can go back and ream it, but I think that should give us just about the right amount. We are running the boring head in reverse, and we're running about 500 RPMs, which is which it seems to behave pretty well with that speed on this mill with this cutting through this cast iron. We're boring it just over 3/4 of an inch deep. And now we'll start cutting right about here. That should be it right there. Now the downside to using this mill as a setup manually is because we're working against a stepper motor, so things like the feed, we don't get quite as nice a down feed on it, quite as smooth a down feed. There's where we get tight right there. I think we'll take that over to the press and press that in. I think we'll be fine. Well, as we stay in the spirit of our little Atlas Machines rebuild, we're going to use our little Atlas arbor press to push this in. Here's our bore that we bored out. I don't know how well that shows up there, but it actually is centered up over the bore. Looks good. We're going to take our little bushing, and it has to line up with our oil passage there. So we're just going to set it in place right there like that. Put it on top. Just like that. Pressed in place quick and easy. Let's go back over to the bench and see how everything fits. Let's see how well our little gear is going to fit. Just about like that. Very nice. We still got a little bit of play there, but not nearly what it was. So I think that'll work just fine. While we've got it apart, we'll go ahead and mask it off. We'll sandblast it off and powder coat it, and it'll be ready for reassembly. That feels really nice. That's about 300% better than what it was. So we'll call that good. Out of the powder coat oven, and we got things relatively well cleaned up. And it's time to start some assembly, although we're still a little bit warm. But before I go in for this evening, I'd like to put this on and see what it looks like. So we got all our fancy little parts. Here's our scroll. I've cleaned this stuff all up. I have not gotten exceptionally anal about it. You know, I haven't gotten real excited about it. Most of these parts will never be engaged or used that I'm putting back together. You know, I'm going to eventually put everything on here that was originally on, but we're not going to use in reality, we're not going to use the power cross slide. You know, this is strictly a production lathe for everything that you would use a production lathe for, and those are things that you don't necessarily need nor use. So while I'm going to make them functional, I don't really intend to use them. I do not have my new oilers to go back in here yet, so there I'm going to leave them out. This will all come apart again probably at least once or twice as we make modifications and fit parts to it. So there again, I'm not going to get too excited about most of these things. I am going to blow this out, get any sand out of it. That looks a little bit better. Still a little bit warm on here. That's all right. This goes in this way. Like that. We'll have these two screws in it. in first before I did this. That's all right. This is the detent. Okay. This is to engage the cross slide. And it will have a spring that goes down inside first, if we can get it in there. Detent ball sits on top of that. This may be something best left in the vise to do. There we go. Now that doesn't happen very often that lines up that well. Okay. It will go right there. Right there. I believe this goes on first. Just like that. And then that will fit in place. Very good. Make sure and put our shims back in. There's the back of our apron all assembled. Okay, there's the front of our apron. There's the back. Ready to go on. Like I say, this will take a little more fine tuning. We'll have to make some adjustments on it. I don't have a handle to go on there, and I need to do something with this hand wheel anyway. It's got a little dink on the back, which would be okay, but it needs to be replated, so I'll either plate it or else. The outside plating is not too bad. I could leave it like that and Cerakote or powder coat the inside gray. Anyway, let's go over to the lathe and get this installed. Should fit right up on our studs without any problem there. A couple new socket head cap screws on here. Go. Well, we've got quite a bit of play in that gear train there. I think we can take out a little bit of that. I don't know how much. There again, not a real issue. It's a production lathe that'll be locked in place against a set of stops. We've got movement that way and we've got movement this way. I don't have a handle to fit this. I've got the smaller handles. I've got the smaller replacement handles that I build, but this one's too small. So we'll have to program up some bigger ones and turn some larger little extension handles to go on there. Now, in general, we've got to finish the gib for this. I haven't put the wipers back on. I'll replace the felts in those. I've got the early style wipers that have the felt, the rubber backer, and then the metal housing to go around them. So I'll clean those up and cut some new felts for those. I've got to get the screws either turn or get some screws and turn them into dog points, and I'll get some square-headed bolts to do that with. I have to build the rockers to go in there. We can build a fancy little rocker to match. We'll just take some flat stock, the appropriate size, and run a radius on the rotary table on the mill, and then we'll take them to the shaper and put the cross hatches in them. And I have to finish the programming and buy stock to make the balanced handles to go on here. Next thing probably is to finish the gib and start final fitting this stuff to get it to where it's supposed to be, and then we'll probably start on the collet closer. Once I get the collet closer mounted, why then we'll go ahead and we can run some test bars and see just how straight we are and if everything lines up the way it's supposed to, or if we're going to have to do some major work to it. There's always a possibility we may have to go back and rebabbit the headstock. I don't really anticipate having to do that, but we might have to. We'll just see how everything lines up and measures out. But we've made some pretty good progress on this. I'm happy with that today. And it won't be too long we'll have this lathe running. If you find these videos helpful and you haven't already, you might want to hit that subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up if you like what we've done here, and any comments or suggestions, leave them in the comment section below. And thanks for taking the time to watch.